Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's ODTN call. I know Alessio will join, so I'll skip the points of him later. I want to bring to everybody's attention that we are working with Roberto Moro from Telecom Italia, and thanks a lot for his patch, on a few updates to the Open Roadum driver. That he's working on within TIM. The idea is to update it to the latest Open Roadum spec and change a few bits and pieces that were not exactly compliant with the latest elements. So in particular, what he did was changing some port IDs that are now, they're a little bit different now, and they're using a different key than what was done before. So in particular, they're using the circuit packs and circuit pack name within that element to identify the circuit ID. There's also external links used in there, and there's a bunch of adjustments made in the patch to be more compliant with the Open Roadum 2.2 driver. So please do take a look at this and check out the patch. If Roberto later joins, we can have an overview of this from him, or next time, I guess. But please do expect more patches coming in from him on this. He also refactored a little bit of the code. So if you have time, just do take a look at this and provide some comments and feedback. I had some. I think I have to go through it again to give some final comments. So I'll take that action item myself to do that. But please do take a look at this if you have some time. And just, I'm very happy that we're doing this work, because it means that we will be more and more compliant with the Open Roadum specification. And this is being tested against some of Telecom Italia's devices that support Open Roadum 2.2. Okay. Any questions, thoughts on this? Okay, so next up, I have a couple of other very good work, a couple of other good patches that are part of a work that is ongoing through the Metro Hall project. They come from Alessio Giorgetti and in general the Metro Hall project itself in Pisa, and the whole European project that especially work around optical connectivity and optical circuit intents. One that fixes the ports with name that was throwing an error before him during the compilation of the intent, and the other one that takes care of passing down to the optical connectivity intent the path and the signal that was given to the optical circuit intent. So I'll let, since Alessio joined, I'll let him take over specifying what's going on here.
Yes, thank you, Andrea. Essentially, this is a set of small patches that we produced during the debug of the last demo for the Metro project, as you correctly introduced. The first one that is this one that you are sharing now. It's essentially to allow the optical circuit intent that is used when you request an intent between the client port of the transponder to accept the suggested signal, so the suggested wavelength, we can say, and also a suggested path that are only used if for establishing this new circuit intent, it is needed to activate a new light path on the optical network, because there are two different cases. In some cases, you can reuse the available light path. In this case, you don't need this information. But in the second case, when you need to establish a new light path, you may need to have control of which wavelength you have to use and which path you want to use, and this allows you to specify this kind of information. We have tested this in a very simplified scenario with only transponders, but in the final demo we are going to test also utilizing both transponder and ROADM, and also in another scenario using transponder and a TAPI OLS. And that's all. And currently, the interface that you can use to specify this information is the REST interface for specifying the an optical intent, while there is still no the possibility to specify this kind of information using, I guess, the command line interface, but I have to check because something is already in place for the command line interface command for the optical intent. I have to check if it is compliant with this patch. And this is all for this patch. I don't know if there are questions, Andrea. If you have questions or someone else.
No, I think that's this is great work. I think it's very good to have, and it's valid patch. As far as I know, there is the possibility of specifying the signal, at least the signal, not the path, but the signal, yes, through the CLI. But I have only tried it directly with the optical connectivity intent. I've never tried it with circuit intent.
Yes, but probably at best of my memories, also the CLI command utilize the same create optical intent call.
This
so
one. Yes.
Yeah, so probably it is it should be already compliant. So we can do a small test if needed.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Anybody has? Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, just to add why we added this. We added this because many times, especially while testing and debugging, we are, to say, constrained to use some specific wavelength, because of maybe the testbed has only that specific wavelength available, or because we are controlling maybe, for example, in this case, we were controlling the transponders with ONOS, while the OLS was controlled with another software, and we already predefined a light path on a specific wavelength. So we had this need to specify externally the signal without relying on the lambda query behavior. That for sure is the most complete way, and it's the one that is going to be used when all the system is controlled by ONOS,
Yep. So any questions here? You mentioned the TAPI driver. You're gonna use the existing upstream TAPI driver, right?
Yes, I'm not. Ramon is more on this topic. I also, in the demo, we are going to do to use the ADVA open line system. I know there is some work that we are doing to make it working, but I don't know the details. Maybe I don't know if there is someone from ADVA online. Otherwise, Ramon is the person that is very aware of what is going there.
Okay, yeah, I'll Stefan is on the line, but I don't think he knows exactly all these
Yeah,
details.
exactly. I'm on the line, but probably that's a little bit too detailed. So I can check with the colleagues. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Because we have done the demo with the OLS a while, a year and a half ago, something like that. So any update to the driver would be greatly appreciated for us. So I'll check back with Ramon and see how things are going from his side.
Okay. Yeah.
And Stefan, if you have any update from your side, just as usual, just feel free to ping me.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. So next up is another patch, which is this one. And I'll let you take it from here.
Yes. Yes, this is also because I can explain the genesis of this one. So it's because the transponder. Just one moment. I have to close the window.
So Alice will be right back. But the idea behind this is that before we were considering just the port here.
Yes, I'm back, Andrea, if you want. Please.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So the idea was so the very first we discovered this problem because in the ADVA transponder that we are modeling and we are writing the driver for it, there are some constraints that are how to say linking the client ports to a specific line port. No, so if I well remember, there are a subset of client ports that are connected to the first line port, and another subset of client ports that are connected to a second line port. So for doing this, we discovered that for modeling this constraint, we discovered that something is already in the code, that is the static port option we have used. But for using this, we have to load the port with both an index and a name. So once we tried, we discovered that if the ports are loaded with the name, the optical connectivity in compilation was failing. And so I went through the code, and I found that the problem was essentially here, where the resources are checked for the wavelength assignment, because the port number that was in the cycle was not including the name. So essentially the resource service was not finding the proper the port. So it was the wavelength assignment was failing because the port was not correctly retrieved. So I simply modified this one instead of directly calling the port, using the device service to retrieve the port with that number. And this way I'm able to have access to the wavelengths that are available or not available. And then like this, it's working for both phases, so discovery and allocation of resources. Also, I received an email from Ramon this morning that was asking some more details. So I'm going to do some more testing, and Andrea, I will let you know in the next days.
Sounds good. If there is anything more that is needed to achieve the result, just please feel free to submit a patch. I think this is a proper. This is a good one. This was already working, so I just went ahead and merged it. But if there is needed somewhere else, just feel free to submit another one. It's okay.
And no, this is what was needed in the compilation of the intent. I will let you know these other points that comments that provided comment Ramon by email. I will reply today, later today. However, there are details, in my opinion, that we can decide to share to fix. Also, if once this is working fine, we can think with a, to say, relaxed time schedule to modify the drivers to load also the port names. But this is something that I guess we can do with a very relaxed time schedule.
Yeah,
because the current drivers doesn't load the names and typically computes the index with some proprietary, we can say, or some mapping between the string name that is in the model and the ONOS index. While if you can load the port number with both, this is simplified because you can do a one-to-one assignment and loading both of them, so the driver is simplified in my opinion.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Great. Next up is, if you have it, a little bit of an update on what's going on with the driver.
Yes, we essentially we want to take it as a draft till I guess the end of the month of July, because we are in the current version we are also doing some to say not very general assumption to make it working for the demo. Then after the demo, the idea is to release a version that is as generic as possible. For this, I have to ask. So the main work has been done by Jose and Hakim by Adva. As an update, I know that they are currently testing on their real devices, and with this few assumptions, but the system is working properly with also the port names, the static port mapping, and all these features. So also we have, how to say, enhanced a bit the discovery of the port, so that if the port is disabled, it is currently not loaded in the controller. In this way, we can take, we can keep some ports outside the control of the ONOS, because in this specific, if I were remembering this specific testbed, the transponder are shared with another project, and we don't need to, how to say, control all the ports. But
so if I understand correctly, what you're saying is that you basically, to achieve a distinction of who controls what, you connect the transponder to ONOS with disabled ports, and in the driver, if a port is disabled, you don't load it in ONOS.
Exactly.
And
if the port is seen as disabled, it is not pushed from the driver to the core.
Okay.
So this is a sort of trick that we need for the demo, no? So then we can decide or discuss if this can be also useful for the final driver or not.
I think if it will be having the capability to distinguish enabled, disabled ports, but yeah, I would still push them all to ONOS. Again, as a final version, I would push the ports with their status. If it's a port is enabled, it's enabled. If it's disabled, it's disabled. It's just going to be a difference of how you build the port description. And it's a good to have. It's a very nice thing to have, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. It's great. As always, if you have any other things from the Metro Hall demo, I'd be very glad to get them and help you guys upstream them. It's always been a great contribution, so very glad about that.
Thank you, Andrea.
Perfect. Okay, so that was the conclusion of my topics for the day. I know Giuseppe, which is on the call, and thanks for joining, by the way, is also working on some TAPI-related, ODTN-related tasks. Although the code is not yet upstream, if you want to give a brief overview of what you're doing to the group, I'll be very happy to. And if you have any questions for anybody here, please go ahead.
Thank you, Andrea. Hello, everybody. Actually, yes, I'm new coming. I'm onboarding this ONOS project because it's very useful for a task that we are carrying on. We basically are trying to use ONOS as a second level controller over another proprietary controller, which communicates at northbound through TAPI over REST. And currently, we are just trying to map the information that we get from the proprietary controller in ONOS. My knowledge is very basic about ONOS, and I'm trying to do my best to understand better. Thanks to Andrea and Ramon that are helping. So I'm having some problem with links mapping and port updates, and I don't know. Probably I just have to understand better how ONOS modules communicate together. Also, Awais, which is in the call, is participating in the project.
Oh, hello. Nice to meet you. Hello. So one of the things that you could do is that you could upstream the code to Gerrit because sometimes it's easier debugging some issues by looking at the code. And if the code, it doesn't have to be perfect quality the first patch. It's not important. You can upstream it and we can iterate over it, and then we can finally submit it when it's ready. So my suggestion would be, if you're getting stuck, if you don't know exactly where to go, or if you think you have done the right thing and there is no macroscopic error, but still things don't work, what I would suggest is to take the code you have, clean it up in a little bit, and just upload it to Gerrit. So that me, Ramon, and all the other people in the call, Alessio, for example, and other folks from the ONOS community that are not directly maybe involved in ODTN, but have a very well knowledge of the drivers, can give you a hand in there. So that would be my suggestion. But thanks for sharing. It's awesome that you guys are working on this, and I very much look forward to seeing it live.
Yep, we'll provide code as soon as possible. That's the next step. And thank you for your support. Hopefully, we'll get a good increment, a good contribution.
Yeah, sounds good to me. So I'll put it here that for further debugging. Okay, that's perfect. And if you have anything that you want to share with the community as a background of your project, just send me the link. I can always put it here or in the next call for the project. Sounds good?
Okay, sounds good.
Perfect. Okay. So I did not have anything else for today, as in terms of topics, in terms of things that I wanted to bring up with everybody. Is there anybody that has any other topics? Guess I'll take that as a no. So thanks for joining. As usual, the call will be recorded and published on YouTube. So feel free to look it up there, and let's keep in touch on mailing list, Slack, whatever you prefer as a mean of communication. Everybody has something as an action item. Stefan, please take a look at the team and see if they have any updates in there. And regarding the TAPI driver, Giuseppe, whenever you want, ask questions and update the driver. And Alessio, you have the bunch of work that the great bunch of work that you're doing to continue. So I'm on Slack, on the mailing list whenever we need. And let's keep up the good work. Thanks for everything. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye.